All right, let's now consider the other kind of particular justice, what Aristotle calls distributive justice. And distributive justice is really important and central to Aristotle's views on justice and his views on political community and political theory more generally. And it's really going to be the kind of justice that we focus on in this class. This is what we're really getting at. So we talked about general justice, that's fine. We talked about rectificatory justice, that's fine. Distributive justice is what's really important. And it's going to come back again and again throughout this unit on Aristotle. Whereas general justice and rectificatory justice, not so much. We've kind of covered them. We know how they work. Those are kind of fade into the background, whereas distributive justice is going to be one of our main concerns going forward. Okay, so what exactly then is distributive justice? Well, like in the case of rectificatory justice, Aristotle is frustratingly abstract. He says that distributive justice follows a geometric proportion. If you recall, rectificatory justice was said to follow an arithmetic proportion, and we talked kind of about what he means by that or how that works, and okay, fine, and fair enough. It seemed kind of unnecessary for Aristotle to describe it in that way, to bring an arithmetic proportion. Didn't seem that, and the idea is pretty simple, and that just seemed to kind of complicate it. I think it's slightly different when we turn to distributive justice. Describing it as a geometric proportion is actually really helpful, as we will see in due course. It really helps us understand how exactly distributive justice works according to Aristotle. Well, okay, fine. So it's really helpful, we're going to see. It's still very abstract and hard to understand as far as it goes. But okay, well, what is a geometric proportion? Geometric proportion is something like that. A over B equals C over D. A is to B as C is to D, right? So 1 over 2 equals 2 over 4. That's a geometric proportion. Aristotle, when it comes to justice, is obviously not interested in math, right? And so what are the A and the C and the B and the D? What are those going to refer to? What do we fill in there? Well, Aristotle's thankfully clear about that. The A and the C are going to refer to the merit of a person, whatever that is. We'll talk about that. And the B and the D are going to refer to the good that is being distributed. Because Aristotle's idea is that distributive justice is concerned with the goods that fall to a political community to be distributed. Well, what does that mean? Political communities have certain goods at their disposal that they are responsible for doling out, for distributing. Like, you get so much, you get this much, you get more, you get less, or everybody gets an equal amount, or whatever it might be. Political communities, one of the things they have to do is distribute certain goods. Not every good, not every kind of good, just certain goods. There are certain goods that fall to the political community to be distributed. And Aristotle seems to have in mind, in particular, honor. And we'll talk about what that means later. We're not going to even worry about it right now. What he's really concerned with are distributions of honor. But he also mentions, well, maybe money and other things, right? And so maybe money gets and this, I think, makes more sense to us and to modern ears, to think about distributive justice being a matter of distributions of money or wealth. Money and wealth get distributed by the political community via certain mechanisms, certain laws or institutions that we might have. And those distributions can be just or unjust. They can be fair or unfair. And what Aristotle is saying is that in order for those distributions of those goods to be fair, to be in some sense equal, to be just, they need to follow a geometric proportion. The good needs to be distributed in a proportionate way to the merit of the person receiving the good. Still kind of abstract, but we know at least this much. What it means to distribute according to a geometric proportion, it's going to mean that those with more merit, whatever that is, he hasn't said anything about what he means by merit yet or what the merit might be, but those with more merit should receive more of the good that we're considering, more of the good that's being distributed. And maybe that's money, maybe that's honor, maybe it's something else. But those with more merit should receive more of the thing being distributed. Those with less merit should receive less of the thing being distributed. And so one implication of his view is that unequal, strictly speaking, unequal distributions of goods can in fact be just. Why? Because the merits of the people who receive the goods might be different. And so if I have less merit, I should receive less of the good. If you have more merit, you should receive more of it. That means you receive more, I receive less. That's strictly speaking unequal, but it's equal in the following sense. The proportion is equal. My merit to comparing my merit to the good I receive that's distributed to me is proportionate to your merit and the good that you receive. If my merit is A and your merit is C, my good is B, your good is D. B and D might be unequal. B might be less than D. The reason that there's still an equality there, however, is because A would be less than C. Okay. And so distributive justice, following a geometric proportion, still preserves equality, according to Aristotle. It's not strict equality. The goods don't need to be, strictly speaking, equal. The proportion of merit to good has to be equal. All right, so this is all still very abstract. And Aristotle is primarily concerned with distributions of goods that the political community makes. But here in Book 5, he doesn't talk about that at all. He does not talk about the political community at all. He does not talk about what really those goods might be. He doesn't talk about what the merit might be, what the relevant merit might be. One of the things that subsequent readings, put it this way, subsequent readings are going to fill in those details, answer those questions. What exactly are the goods that a political community distributes? What exactly is the relevant merit? Things like that. Those questions are going to be answered in later readings. They're not going to be answered right now. Aristotle just doesn't do that. What I want to do, however, right, and this is basically all Aristotle says in Book 5, Chapter 3, when he's talking about distributive justice. What I want to do, however, is give you an example that I think is going to make this rather abstract account much more concrete, much easier to handle, much clearer. Right. And so the example I'm going to use is not of anything political. It's not of a political community. That's ultimately what we're interested in. That's ultimately what Aristotle's interested in. But we're not there yet. We don't have those details out yet. I want to give you an illustration drawn from a community that's not the political community, an illustration drawn from a community that's much easier to understand. And this is going to assist us when we then turn our attention to the political communities and the distribution of goods that is required in a political community. And so the illustration I'm going to use is of a basketball team. A basketball team is, according to Aristotle, Aristotle obviously didn't know about basketball, but he would say it's a kind of community. It's for purposes of Aristotelian philosophy, for his system, a basketball team would be a kind of a community. It's an association of people who come together to pursue some goal. namely winning games or whatever, right? But to do something, to play basketball. And so it's a kind of community. And there are going to be goods that fall to that community to be distributed. It's not going to be honor and money and whatever. It's not going to be the things that fall to a political community to distribute. It's going to be other things. And what I want to focus on is playing time, right? One of the goods that falls to the basketball team to distribute is playing time. There's only so much of it. People can only have so much playing time, right? And you need to distribute it in some way among the members of the team. All right. And what we're going to be focusing on is, well, how do we do that fairly or justly? What would Aristotle say? Okay. So here's, let's put a little bit more meat on these bones, so to speak. So let's take the Lakers, right? I don't know anything about basketball really, but I know LeBron James is on the Lakers because I looked up a picture of him, and look, it says Lakers on his jersey right there, right? Yeah. And I also know that he's like really good at basketball. That's about all I know about it. But he's like, maybe the one of the best or one of the best, or I don't know. People argue. I don't know, whatever. I don't care. But LeBron James, he's really good. Okay, fine. So there's LeBron James. He's not the team though. There's a whole bunch of other guys. There's all the other Lakers, right? And I don't know who they are, and I'm not going to look up whatever. Right there, there's the rest of the Lakers. There they are for you, right? But oh no! Lo and behold, one of the Lakers decided to become a hermit, becomes a monk, moves out to the desert, lives on bread and water, and so he's not playing basketball anymore. And so they're down a player. Geez, oh no. Well, general manager Lakers has a really good idea, or maybe not so good an idea. He says, you know what, I know a guy who we can get in here to be, to fill out the team there. We should call this guy Jeff. He'll be our, he'll fill out the team. He'll be our final member of the team. And so they call me up and I say, yeah, that sounds pretty good. I like teaching and all, but, the pay's okay. But being out in LA, well, geez, I could get LeBron James to sign all kinds of things and then sell them on eBay. And man, I'd really be making a killing then. So yeah, sure. Fine. I'm game. I'm up for it. And so I go out there and there I am on the team. And there's your 2021, I don't know, Lakers right there. They are. They're looking pretty good. Apparently one demand I made is that I get to wear my normal clothes when I play with them, and they acquiesced. So that's pretty nice. But I get there and I have all kinds of ideas, right? Because I study philosophy and I know about justice and what's fair and whatever. I don't know, or at least I think I do, and so I say, I know what's fair. I say, here's what's fair. Everyone should get equal playing time, right? Because, I don't know. Say I only kind of half knew Aristotle. I didn't really know. I skimmed it once, and I saw Aristotle say all this stuff about equality, and that's what justice and distribution requires: fairness, equality. And so I think, yeah, okay, fine. Everyone should get equal playing time. That's fair. Why should you get more? Why should I get less? Why should he get less? Why should he get more? Right? Fairness requires everybody gets the same amount. We're all equally members of the team. We should all have equal playing time. And if you figure out what that would amount to, it'd be about 18 minutes. So I might be wrong about these details here, but I believe on a professional basketball team, there are 13 players who are eligible to play in any game. You have 13 players there. And so you have 13 people out there. At least it should be 13. I'm not going to count it right now. You can count it. And there are 48 minutes in a game. You can have 5 players on the court at a time. If you take all those numbers together, it comes out to everybody gets 18 minutes. So all 13 players would get 18 minutes every game. So that guy standing out front with the goofy smile on his face, he gets 18 minutes. The guy standing back with the goofy smile on his face, he gets 18 minutes. The guy standing to the right with the goofy smile, he gets 18 minutes. I get 18 minutes. LeBron James gets 18 minutes. Everybody gets equal playing time, right? What's wrong with my proposal? So just in case you're unsure, I am not good at basketball. I don't. I mean, I can dribble or whatever, but that's about it. Um, what's wrong with my proposal here? Where did I go wrong? What if, yeah. What if, I take it that what most people are going to say is, no, Jeff, you, you, you shouldn't be out there for 18 minutes. That doesn't seem like what a team would do or should do. It seems like LeBron James should probably be out there for a much greater chunk of the game than you, Jeff. But then I said, no, we're all equally members. Everybody should get equal playing time. What? Come on. Can't do things unequally. That's unfair. I'm just trying to do what's fair. So what's wrong with my proposal? What's wrong with Jeff's proposal? What Aristotle would say is that it doesn't take merit into account. Playing time needs to be distributed according to merit, proportionate to merit. And the merit in the case of a basketball team is, well, skill at basketball, right? And so playing time should be distributed proportionately to one's skill at basketball. That's what Aristotle's theory of distributive justice would say. So let's bring that geometric proportion back in. All right, so we have A is to B as C is to D. Well, now we know that the relevant merit is skill at basketball. And so A and C are going to refer to one's skill at basketball. And the good that falls to this community to be distributed is playing time. And so what Aristotle's theory of distributive justice says is that playing time should be distributed proportionately to skill. Now, it's hard to put an exact number on one's skill, but they have those video games or whatever, where they do that. You get like, the really bad players are like 50, and then a player like LeBron James is like 98 or something, right? He's really good. So let's just do something like that. And so LeBron James' skill, let's say, is 100 because he's the best ever, and my skill would be even worse than 50, right? It'd be like 1. Right? And so that's just supposed to be a measure of whatever, a very crude measurement of our skill. We'll put that up into our proportion up there, right? That's the relevant merit. LeBron James gets 100, I get 1. Well, the playing time should be distributed accordingly. Now, let's say, so there are 48 minutes a game. You can't have a guy out there all 48 minutes. You get way too tired. And so, we put LeBron James out there as much as we possibly can. And I don't know what that is. I don't know. What's the max minutes somebody plays in a game? Let's just call it 40. Maybe that's way too much. I have no idea. But LeBron James gets 40 minutes. Well, what that means is that me, with a skill of 1, should get 1/100th of 40 minutes, which is 24 seconds, right? So, and being honest, that's probably a little bit too much for me, but I should probably get 0. My skill is probably actually 0, but then, it's harder to illustrate the math if I just use 0. But anyways, so because LeBron James is 100 times better than me, he should get 100 times more playing time, right? That's what would be fair. Justice, in fact, requires that LeBron James gets more because he has much greater merit. It would actually be unfair, unjust, if everybody got equal playing time, according to Aristotle. It would be unfair to LeBron James if he had just as much playing time as me. Yeah, that's what Aristotle is saying. And so justice can actually require unequal distributions in this sense. I only get 24 seconds. LeBron James gets 40 minutes. Equality is nonetheless preserved, however, because the proportions are equal. 1 unit of skill to 24 seconds is equal to 100 units of skill to 40 minutes, right? Those proportions are equal. And so fairness or equality is observed, right? That's Aristotle's theory of distributive justice as applied to a basketball team. And I think the basketball example makes it kind of clear and intuitive how exactly it's working and how exactly fairness and equality, in a sense, justice, can in fact require unequal distributions. It depends upon the relevant merit. And in the basketball case, it's fairly obvious that the relevant merit is basketball skill. But now, let me ask you a question, the last thing we consider. Why is the relevant merit basketball skill? Why is that the relevant merit? Because Jeff, down there in the picture, I might come back and say, no, basketball skill is not the relevant merit. Being a member of the team is, and we are all equally members of the team, and so we should all get equal playing time. Right? Why should basketball skill, as opposed to simply being a member of the team, be the relevant merit? Well, that's another further wrinkle to the story, right? And Aristotle's not as clear about this as he could be, but he doesn't state it as directly as he could, I'll put it that way, but he is actually clear about it. Why is basketball skill the relevant merit? Well, it has to do with the good of the community. The good of the community determines what the relevant merit is when it comes time to distribute goods. That's Aristotle's view. And this is really obvious in the case of a basketball team. It's much less obvious in the case of a political community. We'll get there in subsequent videos. But in the case of a basketball team, what's the good of the community? Well, quite obviously, it's to win games. That's what the community, that team, is trying to do. That's why we all come together. That's why you're the small forward and I'm the point guard or whatever. I don't know, right? That's why we take our positions and practice and do what we do and play hard and whatever. We're trying to win the game. That's what we're trying to do collectively as a team. And because that's what we're trying to do, because that's the good of the community, that's what makes basketball skill the relevant merit. Because by distributing playing time relative to one's skill at basketball, we best ensure that the team can achieve its good, that the community can achieve the good of the community. Or to put another, draw out the political implications of this a little bit more obviously. The good of the community, what's another word for that? The common good, according to Aristotle. By distributing goods relative to the merit of the individuals, we best ensure that the common good is achieved. The common good of a basketball team is winning games. You achieve that common good by distributing playing time proportionate to one's basketball skill, or in proportion to one's skill at basketball. Right? And so there's a lot of working pieces here. There's a lot of balls up in the air, to use another basketball metaphor. The basketball example clarifies them, I think. Keep it in mind. Make sure you understand it. When we get to the political community and the common good of the political community and the distributions of those goods and so on, it's going to be much harder, much more difficult. The basketball example, however, should clarify these things for you, make it easier to understand.